Hey, I'm Sean. Welcome to my first video blog article. Today, I want to talk to you about your butt. Why is it so important to have a good relationship with your butt? I'm always telling people squeeze your butt every day. I squeeze my butt every day. I get paid money to help people squeeze their butts the right way. It really helps people. Why is that? Let's talk about it. So there's 7 or 8 really good reasons to squeeze your butt every day. Reason number 1 is it's going to set your pelvis. So your pelvis might be in a posterior position, it might be anterior, or most likely it could be higher on one side than the other. When you squeeze your butt, your pelvis becomes neutral. It's a very important set of postural muscles. Keeps your body together, helps your gait work well. It's very important. So for most people, a lot of people I work with, when they're learning to stabilize their pelvis, I'm like, squeeze your butt for 10 to 60 seconds anytime throughout the day, especially if you're going to be standing for a while, if you have been sitting for a long time. It's just really great to do, and having a neutral pelvis is like setting your whole posture and your whole body up for success. It's very important. Another reason is that a lot of low back tightness, pain, even inflammatory spine injuries are driven by a gluteal dysfunction. When you walk and you leave your leg behind yourself, your glute should kick in to help you extend your hip. It's really easy for that not to happen, and your low back muscles, your erectors, your QL, and your hamstring will work to manipulate your pelvis and your low back so that you can mimic hip extension by flailing your pelvis around, basically. And that tends to happen because people are sitting for a long time, getting up, not reappropriating their movement. It's just they're not optimizing their body. So when they go to use it, it's not ready. They set up a new pattern, a path of least resistance, and that grows until it becomes dominant, and their glutes don't even work anymore. So a lot of people I see, they're having some back pain. They feel like they can't do what they want because they're limited, and every single time they fail their glute test. I help them squeeze their butt, balance their pelvis, realign their spine, and they feel great. It's really amazing to see it happen. And people could save thousands and thousands of dollars and days and hours of suffering and worrying if they would just lay down and squeeze their butts a little bit. There's some other specific things to worry about too, but it's really that simple. Another reason is, like I mentioned a little bit, is it'll improve your gait. So it's a lot to think about, to be like, okay, I'm going to step through with my butt. I need this part of my foot to hit the ground. I'm going to keep my pelvis stable. I'm going to keep my core 20% engaged. People are really struggling with improving their gait because it's so complicated. There's so many things to think about. And the great thing about posture management is you do the exercise, you achieve the position, return to baseline, and then you don't worry about it for the rest of the day, or at least a few hours. If your glutes are working properly with the rest of your body, your gait is going to be really good. You can just squeeze your butt, maybe do 1 or 2 other things, and just go about your day. Go for a walk, exercise, and you can rely on that function being restored. And you can easily test it for yourself to make sure, and I'll show you that at the end of the article. Another great reason is to reduce your overall inflammation. So when your body is working from a place of compensation, your glutes aren't working properly, some other muscle nearby isn't working properly, other muscles are doing more than they need to, you're going to build up inflammation and stress. Those muscles are responding to those actions and those positions, and they are going to stiffen up, tighten up to try and support you in this way that they weren't necessarily intended for. And we see a lot of people with very stiff necks, very stiff shoulders, upper backs, stiff ribs. Those are people that are sitting all the time. They're working very hard while they're sitting. Their body isn't being exposed to any other position. They're not laying very flat ever, except it's in a bed with a big pillow. It might be on a couch. Their body is never getting a chance to return to baseline or respond to a whole surface. So it's just constantly holding on to itself and trying to keep that person going, so to speak. And eventually they're going to run into a problem because the body will build up so much inflammation, stiffness, it'll eventually lead into an injury. And the next thing I want to talk about is preventing inflammatory injuries. You reduce stress, you're preventing that end-stage inflammatory injury. I've known plenty of people who have had herniated discs, fissures, bulges, all sorts of, downstream issues related to their nerves as a result of maintaining poor posture for too long, or taking their posture that's poor and trying to do something that requires great posture without any warming up. That type of sudden stress is going to be what's causing that injury to show up. They're like, oh my God, I don't know what happened. I just threw out my back. No, it was probably happening for months or years before it got to that point. Your body just wasn't able to stabilize the proper way anymore, and then it caused a reaction because something moved that wasn't supposed to right near your spine, so your body stiffens up real tight, and then, it might cause more damage. You're going to be a little incapacitated. It's no good. And by just squeezing your butt, making sure the right muscles are working, your body won't ever get to that point. I've seen people with massive herniations, like 13 millimeters, get better and not require surgery from regaining the function of their hips, and especially squeezing their butt. Another great reason is balance. So if your glutes look unbalanced, if you feel unbalanced a lot, you're probably unbalanced, and a part of it is because your glutes are unbalanced. Most of the time when people start doing glute locks, which is what I call butt squeezes a little more professionally, they notice that their butt cheeks aren't contracting or relaxing at just the same time. And that's representative of a difference every time you need your glutes to work. So if you can't relax them at the same time, if you can't contract them at the same time, they're not coming in when you need them to during your movement. They're dysregulated from your brain messages, from your neural impulses, and so taking a little time to focus on that specifically will improve the balance in your glutes, and it'll improve the balance in your body because it'll help keep you from favoring one side. People in their 30s to 50s have been favoring one side most of their life. Their legs and their hips can become very, very different. The good news is that it's really easy to restore, especially with consistent practice over a few days or a few weeks, hopefully, lasting a lifetime to continue to be preventative and in great shape. Works really well. Gait and balance, big improvements. Another pro is that your butt will probably look better. I mean, in every single posture photo I take, very first picture, second picture, there's pretty much always a noticeable change in their glutes. Their glutes are deactivated. One side's not working as good as the other. They're different sizes, shaped differently. If your glutes are working the same, they're going to look the same. The appearance of your body is a function of how you're using it or not using it. Another big pro. Overall, squeezing your butt is just a no-brainer. It takes 1 to 2 minutes. You can do it anywhere on the ground. There's several different ways. It will literally change your life. I cannot express enough how much I would love for you to squeeze your butt. These are all reasons to have a better relationship with your butt and why it's going to help you be a more successful person. Now I'm going to show you how to test your glutes and get in touch with their function. This is a posture video on how to test and squeeze your butt. Hey, thanks for joining me. It's me, Sean, from the Brio Method. Today, I want to talk to you about testing and restoring the function of your glutes. We're not going to do a ton of exercises. We're just going to get really specific about this one. And if you were going to do one exercise every single day, there's a few that I could tell you that you should do every day, but squeezing your butt is definitely, absolutely one of those. So, in order to test your glutes to see if they are working, you're going to lie on your back. You're going to bring your knees and feet together. And when I ask you to do this next thing, you're going to ask yourself what part of your body is trying the hardest. And I'm going to do this for real with you two right now. So we're going to lift our hips as high as we can, asking ourselves, what do we feel the most? I'm feeling it the most in my butt, but I'm also feeling a little bit of pressure in my knees, probably because I did legs yesterday. You could have felt it in your hips, in your stomach, in your back, in your hamstrings, your quads, or your glutes, or any combination from side to side. And those would all be failing tests if you didn't feel it in your glutes. It's a test for your glutes. So now we're going to take it a step further. You're going to bring your hands up, hands together. You're going to bring your hips up and extend one leg, and notice, what do you feel the most on that side? So right now I feel my butt and a tiny bit of my hamstring. And so that's a small compensation. We're going to check the other side. Start with both feet up, extend the other leg. And this side, I'm definitely feeling it in my glute with a little bit of pressure in my knee again. And I'm going to relax. So for me, a lot of times I'll get my hamstrings. I already did some posture stuff today, so I'm good to go. But my hamstring can misbehave and be compensatory. Sometimes my pelvis will rotate and my back will start to come in instead of my glutes. That's one of the big compensations. So now we know what our result is. How can we improve it? So we're going to lay our legs out flat. You're going to put one hand on your stomach and one hand under your lower back. You're going to squeeze your glutes only as much as you can without tightening your back or your stomach muscles. And then relax. Now, you may notice that it's very difficult to contract your glutes without anything else working. That's normal. And what you need to do is just reduce your butt squeeze to almost nothing and concentrate really hard. Because what's happened is your brain map, the way your brain connects with your body, has become confused, and muscles have been tied together. Fire together, wire together. That's what Feldenkrais says. And so the same way you made it, you can undo it by just learning to separate those actions. And when you got it down, you should notice that you can do it more and more as you go, as long as you're not crossing that threshold of compensation. And as you're relaxing in slow motion, you may find that one of your glutes is not happening at the same time as the other. That's normal, and you should expect it to improve, if not in the same session, across days or a week. It can be pretty quick to restore your glute function, and then it's just a matter of maintaining it to support your pelvis and help the rest of your body adapt to a more proper position. And now sometimes people are so compensatory and downregulated that they literally can't squeeze their butt. And there's a couple of things that I'll do with them that'll help that happen, or put it in a series of other movements so that they can access their glutes, because it's so important. Pretty much always those are in private appointments, and I'm not going to be sharing every single option with you here today. We are going to test again, so let's see what's different now. So try to remember what you tested for a few minutes ago. Bend your knees, bring your knees and feet together, hands up, and lift your hips up real high. So for me, I'm like 100% glute. I don't really feel a lot of pressure in my knees. My left hamstring has a tiny bit more sensation. And then we're going to extend one leg. What do I feel? I feel just my glute. Tiny bit of my quad. And coming up last time, extend your leg. What do I feel? I feel my glute and a little tension in my knee. And so that's the glute test and the glute logs. Super important exercise. Do it 10 to 50 times anytime during the day, in the morning when you get up, when you get home from work. If you just need a second to cool off, just find some time, squeeze your butt a little bit every day. I'm going to show you another way to squeeze your butt. You need some type of large pillow. You could make a large pillow work of any shape. Something rectangular like a yoga block or a posture block will work the best. You're going to put your feet around the block, stand on your knees, making them comfortable with a towel or a pad as necessary. Grab your hips so that you can be sure about where they are. You don't want to go into an anterior tilt. That is going to encourage your compensation. So you want to squeeze your very low glutes to set your pelvis. And then you're going to press your pillow or block with your big toe and your ankle. Press and relax. And when this happens, you should feel the press coming from your glutes, as long as you're pressing your ankle and your big toe at the same time. This is great for someone who has a really strong anterior tilt, or who just isn't responding perfectly to the regular glute lock exercise. It's my personal favorite option. Third way to squeeze your glutes is to keep your pillow in the same position and lay on your face. So put your hands under your forehead. You got your block with your big toe and your ankle. Bend your knees. Keep your hips pressed to the ground. And then you're going to press the pillow with your big toe and your ankle and relax. And you want to keep your feet pointed straight up in the air. You don't want to let them dip back or too far forwards. That'll change the exercise. And as long as you're squeezing with your big toe and your ankle, you should feel it right in your glutes. Another great glute exercise. This one's good for someone who's not getting it and is not super healthy. So like maybe they can't do a lot of other positions. So this is a pretty safe way to put them into a little bit of extension or approach extension and get a little bit of activity from their glutes. I've used this one a lot in like back crisis situations and stuff like that. There's one more way to squeeze your butt I want to show you today. And what you do is you're in this position on your front. You're going to put the bottoms of your feet together, and you can prop yourself up any way you want on your elbows. And you're going to press the bottoms of your feet together with your knees pointed out to the side. And as you do that, you should feel your glutes activate. And then relax. And you just want to squeeze repetitively for 2 to 5 seconds at a time. And you should feel that right in your glutes. Alright, so that's 4 ways to squeeze your butt and a test to make sure you did a good job. If you need more help, if you didn't get a big change right away, you probably need to do some other posture stuff to balance your pelvis first or align your spine so that your hips can really benefit from that. You can do that by reaching out to me or checking out some of my other longer videos. Thanks so much for watching. Consider liking and subscribing. Love you guys. Don't forget to squeeze your butt. Have a good one.